So today was really a stressful day for me. And the topic today that I'm going to discuss with you is also stress management. So, ma'am, are you playing the slides for me?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do, ma'am.
Yeah, please, ma'am. So, as you see the first slide, you can just see the title of the presentation, How to Balance Career and Personal Life to Reduce Stress. That is tips for the teachers. So I was asked to talk about stress management. And since we all belong to teaching fraternity, I thought what could be the best but to tell you as how to deal with your stress. So let us begin with the first slide where I have a small story for you. So I hope all of you are interested to listen to a small story which I have for you. Are you all ready? Right. So the story goes like here in the story, you can see the picture of a man and also a banyan tree, right? So here in the story also, I have something for you which will talk about the picture. So this story is of a man who had a very happy family, comprising of a wife and two children. And near his house, there was a big banyan tree. So his children observed that whenever their father went to the office, as you can see in the picture, he used to bend down under the tree, waited for some time under the tree, and then he went to the office. So again, when he came back from the office, he used to stand under this tree, waited for some time, and then used to come back home. So this kind of repeated every day. So after observing for a few days, they inquired, Father, what do you do under the banyan tree? The father wanted to answer to this question, and with a big smile on his face, he said that whenever I come home from office, I hang the garland of all the office pressure, the politics, and everything which is related to my office and to the outside world onto this tree. And whenever I go back to the office, I stand under the tree and put in the garland of the outside world and go to the office. And he said, this is because I do not want to mix up things. Mixing up of things of two different worlds will not benefit either. So here is the reason why all of us are so much stressed, because as teachers, we all know that this teaching profession is a very stressful profession, and this role of teacher is so demanding that there are so many stresses, whether it be to pressure to perform, finding time to master, learning your objectives, or all these things. Work related stresses are so many, but there is only few strategies that may be able to support this stress. And that's the reason why today I have come up with this topic of work-life balance, which would help you to reduce stress to some extent. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So let me tell you, what do you mean by this work-life balance? So work-life balance defines two words, that is work and life. And balance itself is a very important for us. It looks as how people, they are able to manage their time when they are spending it outside at work or inside at home. So outside of work, we have so many other things to do, managing relationships, your family responsibilities, any kind of interest and hobbies that you would like to take up. So all these things are a big stress now to an individual, because they have to judge their work. They have, the life demands so many things from them that they need to have a continuous balance of all these things. Now, when I say work life balance, let me ask you, how many of you are teachers here? If you can just raise your hands by putting up that icon, then I can explain it more clearly to you. Can I know how many of you are teachers in this particular conference? If you can just raise your hands. Yes, like this. Yeah. So I see a few hands are coming up. So we can see a lot of professionals here are who are teacher. So some people go into teaching because it seems very family friendly job. You have nothing to travel for. No, you have your vacations at the same time as your kids, your hours that match your kids school hours. That's why many of us take the profession of a teacher. But let me tell you that working as a teacher also requires excellent time management skills. So teachers need to balance their classroom goals, what is the needs of the students, a lot of paperwork when it comes, signing the papers or checking the papers, answer scripts, or checking the assignments. So there are a lot of things that a teacher has to do on a particular day. So between writing lessons, lesson plans, grading the exams, you see that the teachers all often feel that it is impossible to fit everything in the given time frame. And yes, this is a very tough thing which creates a lot of stress in the minds of the teachers. So in today's session, we are going to talk about what is work-life balance and how we can do this. So when I define this work-life balance, it involves looking at how people, manage the time spent at and outside the work. So the definition is simple. Working professionals everywhere, they're struggling to define this work life balance for themselves. With many people, they're feeling stressed and not balanced. It is a time to take a look at how we can conceptualize, how we can have this work life balance, and the ways in which it will all need to evolve for professionals today. So, before I get into further, I would just like to give a brief history of work life balance. So, if you all know, there was a stage when there was an industrial revolution happening, and at the later stage of the industrial revolution, there were people who were overworked, and especially in UK. It was common for an average worker to work 14 to 16 hours a day, and that to 6 days a week. So these were all long hours, which had a lot of social and health costs, especially for young children who were also working there. So the labor reformers, they wanted to draw an attention, and they wanted to ask the UK government to agree for fewer hours, especially for women and children. So next slide, please, ma'am. So around the same time, if you see, US also, it began to track the hours worked by its workers, and they saw that the workers were performing almost more than 100 hours a week. So this had a lot of serious health issues on the entire country. And that was when the actual term work-life balance first appeared. It was in UK in 80s that this women's liberation movement, they came out with this term called work-life balance. So this movement advocated for flexible schedules and for maternity leaves for women. And while men were also there, they were busy pursuing their goals, their career goals. Uh, they did not, how many of the men actually worry about the housekeeping or family raising, but working women they have. They are expected to work, they are expected to maintain responsibility for housekeeping. All these things were there. So there was a kind of obvious work-life imbalance for women. And then was women experienced little relief with this movement towards work-life balance. Now, if we see how we define work-life balance today, this is where we talk about an important term which is called effective time management. Okay, so here we have this work life balance has been expanded to include burnout prevention and stress management. These are the two concepts I'm going to talk about you. So employees today, they want better time management skills so that they can spend some time with their families and on their personal interests. And unlike the 80s, there's increasing emphasis today in making this work-life balance more gender neutral. It is not only for women that we had in the 80s, but it is for both men and women that we are looking for. And this work-life balance should be attainable and evenly distributed across all the genders. And I'm sure Work-life balance means different things to different people. If I ask a school teacher, what does it mean? They want to say that they want to disconnect, completely during the breaks and summers from the college work or the school work. For others, it may be, to take up some time for their family. So what is it, what you want to get done in your career and your personal life, that we are going to talk about. Yes, next slide, please, ma'am. The next one. So, yeah, if you see here, life balance is around four important elements: the family, the career, and the health. We cannot ignore any one of this. Okay, so when we are talking about our life, we need to have a healthy life. We need to exercise every morning. We, as a teacher, we need to spend hours every afternoon, maybe in preparing lesson plans, correcting the books, and in the night we need to cook dinner for our family. So all these things we spend an enormous amount of time, but how do we balance this? This revolves around these four important aspects of family, career, health, and friends. So, next slide, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am. So, we have already told you, why do you want to choose the profession of teaching? This may be a family friendly job. There is no travel for you. You can take vacations at the same time as your kids, and your hours also match with your kids' school hours. So for me, when my son goes at school at 9, I leave for my college, and when he returns back by 4, I'm also back at home. So it is quite a convenient profession and also a noble profession, that I may say, right? Next slide, ma'am. So there are a lot of expectations that the teachers have. And because of these expectations, the stress also increases. So we need to be very prompt, prepared, positive, at the same time, productive and polite also. So these expectations are what are leading to a lot of stress in the lives of the teachers, because teachers play a critical role in shaping the lives of our nation's children. Yes. So teachers not only they facilitate learning, but they also influence our child's social as well as emotional development. And today, teaching is also one of the most stressful occupations. So high levels of stress are affecting teachers' health, their well-being. It is causing teacher burnout, lack of engagement, job dissatisfaction is there. And in some places, we also see poor performances. And now we also see highest turnover rates also entering into this teacher's profession. Previously, it was in the IT industries or in the factories, but now stress not only has a negative consequences for a teacher, it is also resulting in lower achievement for students and at a higher cost for the schools. So obviously, if you see, teachers' stress is linked to the teaching performance and also to the students' academic outcomes, right? So this high stress levels that we are having are causing the teachers to leave their professions. This is causing a lot of instability among the staff, student, and at the community as at a large. So schools and districts are hiring new teachers every year with less experiences, and this is resulting in lower student performance. And that is how everything is going down in academics now because of all this stress. The everyday language, we are having a variety of meaning for this stress. And for this, the stress is commonly used to describe an unpleasant internal state that can be, triggered, that can happen because of some external sources or stressors. For example, some kind of stress you may have because of difficult work environment. I just now face the stress of being on time for this webinar, but and the stress was because of the traffic, because it's raining here. So that is one of the external source or stressor that I can say, right? So stress is also based on the body's response to threat or danger. How we are going to take up this. So we can divide the stress into two types. It can be a distress or a use stress. So distress is nothing but your negative stress, and use stress is your positive stress. So we must look into ways in which we can avoid and reduce the distress, right? Because this stress can cause a lot of direct and indirect damage to our physical health. So we can say that distress for a teacher, if you want to know about the distress for teachers, it can be uh, individual teacher stressors or student related or team related, whatever it can be, that these can be your individual stressors, right? So as a teacher, how and what you can do to come out of the stress, that we will be discussing in the next slide. Next slide, ma'am. What you want to get done in your career and in your personal life? That is an important question that we are going to answer to. So let us see what are the points in the next slide. See, in this slide, we have so much of stress for the bills, for the work, for the teamwork, for even smaller work like a gym, dinner. Some of us are so conscious about our diet, that also becomes a stress. Kids have become a lot of stress. So you see here, when you're in if you see in the picture, this man is divided into two parts. One where he has his professional outlook, where he is working with all the gadgets, the social media platforms, with money and everything. And the other way is where he's at home, and he's kind of relaxing, enjoying his hobbies and everything, right? So next slide, please. Yes, now is where we know some of the tips about work life balance. It's possible, of course, to add some activities and to remove some unwanted activities from our daily schedule. So here, when I say add activities, don't just subtract. So you may say, ma'am, you are asking to add activities and why we should not subtract. I will tell you what is the reason. When I say add activities, I tell you to take out time for a hobby or an activity that can help you to keep you energized and enthusiastic, right? So we are only focusing on work all the time. How many of us have any hobby? Can I see the audience putting up in the chat box some of the hobbies that you pursue? Any hobbies that you have, if I may ask? Say, for example, if I say, I like to paint, painting is my hobby. How many of you have other hobbies? Yeah, I see Tashdeen saying singing, there's Mona Lisa singing, right? Who else? Let's keep it a little interactive so that, just you don't listen to me, but you also take part in the webinar. So, only two of you are having? Only two of you I see is having the hobbies. Well, when I say add activities, I say you should be passionate enough to have some hobby. So my question is that if you are already pressed for time, how do you make time for learning something or taking new hobby? I'm sure many of you must be having that question in your mind. And ma'am, we are already stressed and then we don't have time to take up any hobby. Is it right? Yes, you need to set some boundaries. You need to say when to say no. It is okay to say no when you should not overstress yourself. That does not mean that you should avoid work and not do any work. You just have to choose carefully when you're saying yes. And then is the time when you can take out some, time for yourself and take up some new activity or take up with a hobby. Do you agree with this? We should learn to say no when we are overstressed, right? The next tip that I would tell all of you would be work smarter and not harder. So, when I say work smarter and not harder, does not mean to find a shortcut or short route to success. That means you need to identify and eliminate some of the non-essential tasks. Okay, so if you have heard of Pareto principle, that is 80 by 20 rule, you can apply this to your workday. So Wilfredo Pareto was an economist who theorized that we can get 80% of the result from the 20% of the work that we do. Yes, so 80% of your student results can be because of 20% of the work that you do with the students. So you have to see what are the important tasks on which you have to put up your 20%. And then automatically all the things will fall in place and everything will be done in a proper order. So you eliminate all the non-essential tasks which is not required at all, and you consolidate your time to do what is important. The next way, in order to have a relieve your stress, could be to make friends. So remember, you are not the only one who feels stressed all the time at work. So when you talk with your colleagues, you can help yourself to end up with the stress. You can ask for some help. You can share a laugh. That would be very, very much useful for your well-being. So it says that if you have good relationship at work, it will boost your employee satisfaction and it will reduce your stress by 50%. So, you have to make a workplace buddy. Just strike up conversation with another colleague of yours, see if they have the shared interest, and you can be friends at work. That may give you job satisfaction as well as it will help you to reduce stress in a big way. The next one would be at work to give yourself a break. So every time if we are sitting at one place, that also makes everything very stressed, and we are not able to put in our mind and heart to that work. So taking a walk around, going making a coffee for yourself, being in the nature, these may be some of the effective ways in which you can relax your brains, and you can refresh your senses. So this is something that may also help you to increase your productivity, right? So at work you can take out some time, just don't go strolling everywhere, take out some time, say maybe 10-15 minutes, go outside, have fresh air, relax yourself, give yourself the much needed break at work. The next point I would like to emphasize would be invest in your development. So here on this, at the outset, I would like to congratulate, IoT Academy for conducting so many webinars in various disciplines. And I think this is a good opportunity for you to invest in your development. When I say that, that means this will help you in the professional growth. And this will also help you to have a career satisfaction. So staying updated on the latest research, learning new technologies, educational technologies, and writing publications, join in any professional associations, attending such kind of webinars. All these things will help you to reach out to others. And this attending conferences, webinars that may interest you, that will help you to expand your knowledge and network also with others. Yes, do you agree with this? I think I agree to this fully. My whole purpose of connecting with IoT Academy is to invest in my development by sharing my knowledge with others and to benefit others also. This is a kind of a stress reliever to me. So see, I had a very hectic schedule. I'm working in a college. I have my lunch break now, right? So, but I chose to take up this time and be on this webinar with all of you just to give a break to myself, to de-stress myself, and to do what I like the most. That is what is teaching. So invest in your development. That is very, very essential. And celebrating your accomplishments. How many of us have celebrated small accomplishments, a very small accomplishments that brings happiness to you. So, recognizing, valuing those achievements, sometimes if we do not value them, they become unrewarding. So, it is said by Adrienne Mingo, she says that self reward for achievement is an important aspect of goal setting and accomplishment. So, these rewards could take such simple forms like an ice cream or a movie or talking to your best friend or patting someone who has done some good work, appreciating will also help you to reduce your stress to a lot, like a big way. So I don't know how many of you agree to this, but this is for sure. If you work on your small accomplishments, if you take time to celebrate these small accomplishments, you feel very, very happy and you can de stress yourself with these small achievements, right? The next one that you see on the other side, work we have done, some tips we have for work. What about our life? So, what is that life we are drawing? Draw a line between your work and home. So, when I say life, setting boundaries at home, both physically and mentally. If you do need to bring work home, you should see that you have an office or a designated working area and some designated working hour also. So, don't check your email when you are with your family. Don't be on the phone when you're like having lunch with your family. So you can have one day a week where you're completely offline. You disconnect from, detox. We say digital detox, disconnect, and that will be also one way in which you can disconnect from the stress. So draw a line between your work and home, and also cultivate life outside the classroom or outside the workplace that you are talking about. That means, again, the hobbies. The hobbies are the fun way. You can start, or reconnect with a favorite hobby, maybe a small one like gardening, photography, knitting, or dancing. It doesn't matter, even if it is a stamp collecting activity, as long as it's an activity that lets you forget about your stress, it is good. So you remember that you are an individual, okay? And you also need to have life outside your work environment. So that will help you to reduce stress to quite an extent. There can be time where you can schedule your time to do nothing. I do that quite often on Sundays. That means I do nothing. I just want to relax. Most of us feel guilty when we aren't doing something, right? Even on weekends. So we are doing something or the other. We are checking our Facebook, or we are meeting our relatives or guests, calling them up, all these things. But research says that checking your phones only help you to stimulate dopamine production, and it is just feel good factor. But the downside is we lose connection with ourselves. So, what happened? The more we spend time on the mobile, the more we have the screen time, the more we disconnect with ourselves. And then later we find that we are overstressed with work, or, some pending work is there which we have not completed. So, if at all you can take out a day in a week where you are scheduling nothing for yourself, you can absolutely do nothing and practice mindfulness and your meditation. Meditation is a very uh, simple way of avoiding any kind of stress. Mindfulness, practice mindfulness. That will be essential for each one of us for our mental health, right? Then when I say get Zeds, what do you mean by Zeds? Any idea? Get your Zeds. Any idea if anyone could tell me in the chat box? Anyone? I hope you are not getting your Zeds after your lunch. I hope you're all awake. You're not asleep, not taking your power nap. So may not be this time that you should take your nap. But when I say get Zeds, that means have enough time to sleep. So lack of sleep is detrimental to your health and your well-being and productivity also. So you should make sure that you get enough sleep every night. Okay, apart from your health benefits, if you get sufficient sleep, it will protect you from reaching the job burnout. Sleep helps you to recover better from any kind of stress, and it will also improve your working memory. It will also affect your ability to problem solving and making right decisions. The more stressed you are, the more sleep you need each night. And trust me, when you are stressed, your body needs rest, and sleep is the best way that would help you to recover. Am I right? I would appreciate, yes, if I can see some people in the chat box. At least I would know that I'm present here. I am having that stress to know whether the audience is listening to me or not. So I hope the audience is with me. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And the last tip that can be on life would be practice reflecting writing. So reflecting writing has also been known as journaling or journalizing, where we classify our priorities, we plan for the future. You know, this you may have learned this technique when we are as teachers or even in the corporates, we have this reflective writing, which helps you to be more in touch with your emotional responses or to a situation. So whenever you are feeling frustrated, whenever you have a lot of pressure, you this reflecting writing is the best way to alleviate the stress, you know, by allowing you to clarify your priorities, for helping you to plan for your future. So this technique helps you to connect with what you are doing. So reflecting writing is one of the good method in which you can take out time to know what you want to do first. Many of us use our calendars or appointment diaries to do that, right? So that is what will help you to de-stress yourself in some way, not to take too much of pressure. Right. The next slide, please. So here you see how to achieve work-life balance as a teacher. Now coming to this profession of teaching, how you are able to take out some time, how you can carve out more time for yourself and for your family. So the first one would be respect your time. Now I'm sure all of us, the academicians, the teachers, they tend to be very hard workers. And it's not unusual for a teacher to stay at school until 7 p.m., helping the students. And some of us stay up until midnight correcting papers. And we also spend weekends planning lessons, uh, attending conferences. And we make no mistake about it because we understand that teachers' duties are almost impossible if we cannot accomplish if we do not put in something extra. Extra hours are required. But however, we should, recognize and see that we attend every school event on time, and we should have the, all committees. We can focus on what we have to do prior beforehand without wasting much time. So pre-planning is something that we need to do. So respect your time, be punctual, try to balance your work at office so that you are able to in your college so that you are able to come back at home at the right time. So these things are also important for you. Every time if you're spending, you know, uh, till late in the night, you are spending time only on your profession, then it may not be very appreciative, or the people in your family may not be liking it, right? So this is important for you to respect your time. The next one is shut off the electronics. I know it's impossible, like with email and online education platform, and thanks to WhatsApp. Students and parents can now connect with teachers at any time. And this was more during Corona and after Corona. So sometimes it can be helpful for some people, but I myself find replying to students' posts at 11 p.m. in the night, answering emails. Yesterday night only I was awake answering to some queries that were coming from my students. So sometimes these posts and emails would get me excited, sometimes upset about something and keeping me awake. Now, I let my students know if at all it is not urgent, I will not get to anything posted after 7 p.m. So I sometimes once in a week I force myself to switch off electronics at a certain hour, especially on Sundays. So this has a lot of impact on your mental and emotional health as well as your energy levels. So shutting off electronics, letting your students know, or letting even your colleagues, if you're working in corporates, letting your colleagues to know that, to please do not call me after 8. After 8 is my family time. I would like to spend time with my family. So whatever you want to ask, whatever work you want to get it done before certain time that you have allotted for yourself, and then do not attend to your electronics. Spend time with your family. Okay. And the last one would be prioritizing your health. That is very much important. uh, this year I vowed to practice what I preach in terms of taking care of my physical health too. So if I take care of my physical health, I would have sufficient energy levels, and it will make me feel a little calmer. It will help me to deal with my stress. And exercise is one of the ways in which you can deal with your daily frustrations. You can cope up with any issues that are outside of your control. So, exercise and meditation, these two are something which is very, very important for you, right? So these were some of the practices, these three things that we can do as a teacher to achieve work life balance: respecting your time, shutting off your electronics, and prioritizing your health. In the next slide, we see who is a happy teacher. Can you see this? Let it go, setting your own goals, change your state of mind when you get home, enjoy the autonomy, find time and space, and in the holidays. So, when I say what you can do as a happy teacher, I will tell you. Till now, we were talking about the work life balance. Now, when I talk about teachers, how can you be happy teacher without any stress? So, the first thing that you may do is let it go. As teachers, it's easy to fix it on small things. The lesson plan that didn't go quite well, as you were hoping to, your pending assessments, your emails that you were supposed to write but could not send it. Like, I was asked by IoT to share my email, my PowerPoint presentation on, I think, Friday. I was so busy that I thought I could just let it go. And then I shared when the right time came, when I was little free. So, we do our best, but we must recognize that some things are out of our control because we are so um, dumped with work. At that instance, we cannot do everything at a one time. So, what we could do best is take a deep breath and just let it go, right? So, sometimes it can be tough, but letting go of things is essential for survival. These strategies can ensure that your career is not impactful, but also healthy and long lasting. So, any kind of profession that you are, you have to have a healthy and a long lasting career. So, at times when we are not able to do everything, we just have to let it go. So, what can I do about it? One of the difficulties is finding a balance is that life is constantly changing. as does the amount of pressure of work. So as the life changes, the amount of pressure at work also increases. So there are few strategies or a few techniques that you need to use. Set your goals, set your own goals. So start by setting smaller goals. Don't try to change everything at once. So you should identify your patterns of work. Ask yourself, what is it that you would like to change or might be able to change. So try focusing on the positive impact of change. Say, for example, if you want to ask me an example of what I can change in my goal, I would like to tell you that maybe I can keep a diary for 2 weeks. I can identify my pattern and see what is that I need to do. So I can set a time to finish my syllabus. I can give you a time to have dinner with family or exercise or meet friends. I can set some free time to rest properly on weekends and weeknights. That can be my own goal, right? I can sign up with some club for connecting with myself, with my passion to avoid any kind of stress. I set aside 15 minutes daily to meditate, right? And maybe I can also set time for a walk or yoga or stretching. I can also separate my home and my work so I can avoid paperwork at my bedroom, right? So these can be little goals. So you can write your own goals down. And once you have set your goals, when you have written them, you must make sure that you should achieve your goals. If you put them somewhere, you can see, you can refer to them and you can see whether you are able to achieve those or not. So if you are able to achieve those goals, you may feel happy about it, right? So that can be one way to set your goals. Then you can change your state of mind when you get home. So from work, when you go home, you can take a stroll, take fresh air, exercise, enjoy a nice bath. Try to leave everything behind the day, whatever you have done at work or at school. So you can leave your books, your assessments behind. If you do take them home, leave them in a room where you can close the door when you have finished the work and make sure that you are away from, you know, all your work, all your stress is away from your sleep, from your bedroom. And one more thing, if I may tell you, is have a different email and social media accounts for your personal life and for your your work. So your life and your work and your family should not be together. Your emails for your personal life, your social media accounts for personal life should be different, and you should have one for your profession as well. So that is what I'm talking about, right? Then I'm talking about in the holidays, what you can do. Do not fill the holidays with work. Do not fill your holidays by like, and you need to meet or cover a lot of people. Allow yourself some time to rest properly. Do not overschedule yourself. Everyone's comfort level is different. So you be honest with yourself. You try to you try to prioritize what you want to do and give yourself permission to serve your needs first. Do not try to accommodate else's need during the holidays. Oh, I was asked to do this by my student. I was asked by my boss to do this. During holiday, take out time just for yourself and for your family. That is very important, right? And finding time and space is creating some time and space for reflection. So not only to think about your how to work, but also about take out some time for your personal life and for your relationships. So get up 30 minutes early. Some take 30 minutes when you get back from home to sit and be calm. Reflect on your work, reflect on your week. Notice where you were having stress, what were the barriers of where you could not achieve your goals, and how you can remove them in order to achieve your goals. So you need to reflect. Reflection is very, very important. So finding the time and space is important for each one of us. Take out some 5 minutes, pause everything, and take out some time. Prioritize. Okay. There's always more that you could do, but you cannot do everything. So that is what you have to do. Enjoy the autonomy. What is autonomy? In you are doing something that you can only do. You have the autonomy that you can work according to yourself. So although the number of hours in a day may be more of work, but it is possible to manage the situation as per your effective time management skills. So you can see effective prioritizing, arranging your workload as in the importance of the task will also result in having a completed task. So you can assess whether your projects can be put on hold or if the outcomes are not very impactful as others. What you need to do is prioritizing. So when I say autonomy means you can help yourself with what has to be done and what can be left behind. That can be one thing that is in our hands, not others can get, right? The next slide, please. So here comes one of the important strategy of stress management, which is time management. All of us have heard of this term, time management. I'm sure many of us are trying to incorporate that in our lives also, but sometime or the other we fail. It's true. Today, I also wanted to be on time, before time. This is the first webinar, maybe out of so many webinars, where I was 2 minutes late to join. Otherwise, I'm always before time. But I could not manage time because of some unavoidable circumstances. There was a sudden meeting in the college, and there was raining, traffic jam. So I could not manage my day today. I could not manage my time today because of some unavoidable circumstances. But is it every time the same? No. We can manage our time by organizing the day by priorities, which work we have to do first, how much work I need to devote to that particular work. So if I want to have my breakfast, I can't go eating 1 hour. I have to organize, I have to allot a particular, some time, I can say 15 to 20 minutes to finish my breakfast, because that is something which is important. So I organize my day according to the priorities that I have. Right. So if there's a meeting, I will first organize my meeting and then maybe any other social outing. I have to prioritize. I cannot say that, oh, my meeting is equally important as my social outing. Your professional meeting comes first because you're into a profession. You have to prioritize, right? Then as for the teachers, you strategically plan homework assignments. When I say strategically plan homework assignments, I ask all the teachers here to, find simple assignments for the students. You can ask them, you can complete a set of problems that you can give them, or assignments can be where you don't have to frame too much. You don't have to have a lot of repetitive practice during the class, but you may find some assignments that are better suited for the home environment. You can give them some work that they may finish before home. If you are starting any class, you can give them some assignments where they can prepare and come, so that you will have less stress in that particular class in order to explain them. So keep your assignments simple. Do not get too many things which will be complicated for you as well as for the student. So, we should not give stress to ourselves, and at the same time, we should not give stress to our students also. So that is how your assignments or your homework should be planned. Planning for potential crisis. How many of us plan for the problems well ahead? So there can be some urgent crisis. Some problems have limited options, like maybe a natural disasters. Teachers can plan around the needs of the students, but a crisis that relates to the student behavior is better to avoid or handle before it reaches the peak without wasting some class time. So, by learning about the students before they enter the classroom, teachers can create some plan of action so that there cannot be any kind of distraction. So, you plan if there's a problematic child or student in your classroom, you talk to him beforehand, know about his behavior, you know, that can be very much important for you. Planning is very important. Any kind of, circumstances may arise. So, how would you look into that? That is important. Then the next one is where you need to set aside the personal time that I have been telling you. Effective prioritizing of your workload, that is important. And giving yourself some time off is also equally important. So avoid piling of your work, avoid procrastination. A small work every day can be managed instead of a big, batch of work coming together. So you can feel a sense of accomplishment also every time you complete a given task that you have assigned for yourself. So set a time for yourself, what you would like to do, when you want to do, how you would like to do. That kind of goal, if you have, when if you have set that time for yourself, it would automatically be easy for you to manage your time, right? Next slide, please. Yes. So I think I could manage my time quite well. My session is till 2:30 and it's 2:25. And here I am with my conclusion. So if I say, I may also say that work-life balance may be an equation, but there is no formula for arriving at its solution, because instead achieving a balance between your work, your home is a personal experience and how the you approach to it. Okay, but if you want to experience a better balance or equilibrium in your teaching career, pick and choose the adjustment that work best for you and add to it, as you progress further in your uh, teaching, or when you progress in the way you want to work. So here you see that as a teacher there can be many stresses for you, as I already told you, but it is in your hand, because teaching itself is a profession which has a lot of challenging circumstances, but it is in your hand as how you find an equilibrium. Each one of us has our own choice of balancing our work with our home. So this is your personal experience. And after this particular webinar, I would definitely love to hear from all of you as how you have made this equation, this particular formula of arriving to the solution of reducing your stress, right? In the next slide, I have a beautiful quote for you. Can I have the next slide, please? Here you see, life is where you can balance your family, your future, and your career. I hope you have seen this, how effective this looks. Balance is where you can have a life balance when you have a balance between your family, your future, and your career. And in this particular image, also, you can see the picture of two ladies, how they have balanced their corporate, the profession, as well as their work here, or yeah, the family. The next slide is where I conclude. There is no such things as work-life balance. It is all life. And as Sadhguru says, the balance has to be within you. However much I tell you about this, however much I kind of uh, give you the tips about how to balance your work life, but the balance can only come when you are balanced from within. So, as I conclude, I would like to tell you that all of you should have a proper balance where you don't mix up your profession with your personal life. And that is the secret of, a happy life, and not stressing yourself too much with the profession that you are in. So, at the here, I would like to ask the audience if they have any questions, if they would like to ask anything. I am open for discussion.